At this point in time, everyone has seen that very viral and very infamous Ben Duckett video where it appears that he's so intoxicated and so drunk that he's unable to even tell where it is that he is. And there's been a lot of bantering off about it for obvious reasons. There have been people who've had a laugh, there have been people who've shown some concern, there have been others who've slammed his behavior as being rather unprofessional. However, one person who has now surprisingly come and stood up in Ben Duckett's corner is Travis Head. You'd think that an Aussie would take this moment to really dig it in and actually ensure that this is something that ends up gaining more ridicule. But Travis Head has shockingly gone in the opposite direction. Here's what he had to say when he was asked about the incident, and it makes for some interesting viewing. First off, he said that I get on with Ducky well and reached out to see if he was going all right. At the end of the day, it is a bit stiff, but don't think there's any real issue. Now, that's an interesting way of looking at it, but it becomes clearer as we go through some more of what it is that Head says, why it is he feels that there's no real issue with it. And there's two major defenses. One is the fact that that was time off, it was personal time. It wasn't time where he was on active duty. And that is, in some ways, it makes sense. Let's go over what it is that Head says before we dissect that particular argument. He says that I know we live a high-profile life and some people are more high-profile than others, but what you do in your personal time is up to you. Now, of course, there are two ways of looking at it. Yeah, Head's not entirely wrong when he says that if it's personal time, then it shouldn't really be concerning anyone. But I don't think that's the main issue that people have. The main issue is that in today's day and age, it's well known that excessive alcohol intake is not exactly the best thing for a sports person at an elite level, which Ben Duckett very much is. So is it something wise that should be done? And truth be told, given the kind of performances that England were putting in, does it make sense for one of their star batters to be suddenly going on a bender? I'd say no, but again, Head's defense stands up for one crucial reason. He revealed that the Australian team have done similar things in their own tours. This is what he had to say. He said that everyone has made more out of it than what it should have been. We have done the same thing on past tours. I don't have an issue with it. Well, now it all makes a lot more sense. One of the reasons that Head has no issues with it is because the Australian team themselves have gone on similar benders on past tours. Those are not my words, it's not my revelation, it's what Head himself has revealed. Now again, there's many ways to look at it, but I personally feel whilst alcohol and elite sports don't really mix very well, again, if it's not coming in the way of your performance, an occasional bender here or there shouldn't be that much of an issue. Why it has never really come back to bite the Aussies as it did Duckett and co is because the Aussies are generally speaking more often than not winning. The English team aren't really doing that, which is why it came back to haunt them. Because again, as Head says, I don't really see much of an issue with it. We've done the same thing in the past. The main issue, as I highlighted, is that the England team chose to do so when they were in the midst of a slump, whereas the Aussie team, well, more often than not, they're winning, so no one's really going to give that much scrutiny to their behavior. But it's interesting, as I said, to see that Head has come out and taken a stand. Then again, it makes sense when you consider that the drinking culture within Australia and England isn't all that different. In fact, it is encouraged more often than not, despite the fact that many people will take to moral policing it if they see it happening. But that's what Head had to say on Duckett. Do you agree with his assessment? Disagree? Let us know that in the comments below. And don't forget, as always, to like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe to the channel, tap that bell icon, follow us on social media. We're on Instagram, X, and Facebook. And stay tuned for more such updates from the world of sport.